What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, come to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? Been back after a minute being gone. I know I'm terrible at this. I'm super goddamn busy, guys. I really am busy. I have a family to take care of. I have a wife that doesn't get much sleep because our toddler doesn't like to go to bed on time or sleep through the night, so she is exhausted. So I'm trying to help there, and I work like 70, 80 hours a week or close to that. Well, probably 60, 70 hours a week. Um, so I'm normally thoroughly exhausted. I didn't work this much this weekend, so I'm feeling a little good. I'm really going to try hard and start streaming at least on Sunday nights when I have time, but I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's why I haven't been around as much lately. So that's the problem. It's nothing, no big deal or anything. I'm just fucking busy. All right. I have a wife and kids, and I can't really spend a lot of time doing this stream anymore. Doesn't work with my schedule. I have a weird schedule now. So I'm hoping December 30th afterwards that for a little bit I'll be able to do a normalish stream time, probably more in the afternoon, but I don't know. We will see. But yeah, anyways, let's get to it. So we're gonna do the Kamala interview. We're gonna check that out. Fox News. It's been a couple weeks. It's been about 4 days since that dropped. So we're gonna check that out, and then we're gonna check out the Donald Trump interview with Patrick Bet David. Um, but before we do that, this is happening right now. I wanted to react to it as it was happening, and it's Myron from Fresh and Fit, and they're basically if you remember, I did a video on Jubilee featuring this broad against Charlie Kirk. So the background, well, I'll let Myron talk about the background, but yeah, so we're gonna react to that first. I don't think it's gonna be very long, but this is happening right now. It's really entertaining, and I thought it was the reason I want to react to it so bad is because I kept seeing a bunch of people. How the fuck do I get rid of this chat right here? Because the reason I wanted to no, that's not it. React to this. Whatever. It's because the chick above was being touted as owning the Charlie Kirk during that debate, and the Charlie Kirk debate didn't actually end up happening. I kept watching. I was like, "Is this where he owns him? Nope, not it. Is this where she owns him? Nope, that's not it." So we're gonna check this out. Apparently, Myron's been saying some things about her. She responded, and it's kind of funny what she's doing. She's acting like she's the top G, and all these other people that are like reacting to her are like beneath her, which isn't true at all. But before we get to it, let's do some house cleaning or housekeeping stuff. Follow me on X at official W Ghost. That's the best way to find out when I go live, and you can also watch me live as well if you choose to. And then of course rumble.com/withghost, youtube.com/@withghost, twitch.tv/official-with-ghost. I got my gaming channels. For Rumble, it's Gaming with Ghost, and for YouTube, it's Official Gaming with Ghost. Yeah, I'll probably game again, probably in like, I don't know, either when Black Ops 6 hits or when Assassin's Creed Shadow hits, maybe. Again, I'm super fucking busy, guys. All right, 60, 70-hour weeks, closer to 70-hour weeks is what I'm working. So I can't find, I don't have time to really stream, which, it is what it is, no big deal. So we got this on 1.5 speed, and we'll keep that going until we catch up to the live. And then if after he gets all done with that, we'll go on to what we're going to normally do. Let's listen in. It's a great look.
Bear with me, guys.
Okay.
Getting the logos and everything going.
Sorry.
What else am I gonna do? YouTube guys, come on over. I dropped the link. It's pinned at the top. Come on over. Background.
Just trying to skip through.
YouTube guys, come on over. I dropped the link. It's pinned at the top. Come on over. With TV/FreshFit TV. All right, guys. I'm gonna and just so you guys know, real quick.
Oh, and if you're interested in their Twitch or locals or their Twitch is castleclub.tv, I think it is. So check them out. I'm a big fan of the Fresh and Fit crew.
Let's see what this shit
I'm a bigger fan now that they're no longer doing after hours as much. I can't watch that shit as much anymore. I used to love watching it, but it just pisses me off how dumb these broads are. So, but yeah, there we go.
Hi, divas. So, in the mix of this whole thing with Aiden Ross, this other random.
And just so you guys know, real quick background.
So this is how Myron's about to explain how this all started. So let's.
This is what happened. Basically, Aiden Ross hosted a debate with Nick and several feminists.
Which was so dumb. You had that OF lawyer out there and shit.
Girl was supposed to be on that panel. She decided to not show up because she basically made the excuse saying, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to someone who's she threw the term, white supremacist or something like that."
What?
And he's a bigot. No,
Nick.
she's for Nick, and she said, "I'm not going to legitimize him by, even having a discussion."
The ironic part about this is she's not even that big. Like if the Jubilee Charlie Kirk thing didn't happen, no one knows who the fucking chick is. But she's like, oh, well, I don't want to platform this dude. No one knows who you are. All right, no one knows. Even like if you guys don't want, remember, go watch that Jubilee interview and go to the debate and go to the very last one, like the last section. Charlie picks her to have a debate with. And she gets to pick the topic, and she still fucks up. Like she did not do that good. And plus, look at this chick. She's got fucking the ring, the piercing here and the nose ring. Come on, not a lot of intelligence.
That in itself is problematic. People. But basically, so I called her. I said, "Yo," and you guys are gonna see here in a second. But basically, this all started because Aiden, you even offered her 20,000 to debate. She didn't want to do it.
Person decided to call me out.
She said, "This person," as if I'm not significantly more known than her.
A student named Myron Gaines decided to comment on the situation.
Matter of fact, the reason why she's even making a video is because I am relevant.
And I'm sure, as you can imagine,
that's actually a very good point for Myron, because like she wouldn't even be like me. I'm reacting to this. She's not going to make a video about me talking shit about her because I'm nobody. But Myron, the Fresh and Fit crew, she knows who it is. I hate these disingenuous leftists who are like, oh, just some random person. I don't know their fucking name. Yes, you do. You know their fucking name. Come on.
She said some very enlightened and really nuanced things. Just kidding. He called me a bimbo.
Yeah, because you are a bimbo.
Here's me.
So she talks about why she didn't want to talk to Nick. And it goes, if you engage in a debate with a hate group, you're legitimizing them. Is basically what she's trying to say.
Here's him calling me a bimbo. Telling me to shut the fuck up, by the way. No. So, yeah.
Yes, because you are not willing to debate within the crucible of ideas. That is why I'm calling, because that's low IQ behavior. If you feel as though he's wrong, debate him. This is why debates are a beautiful thing. We can go ahead and have a marketplace of ideas, and you could put your ideas against mine, and we can have a civil discussion. But she doesn't even want to do that because she thinks that other individual is wrong, that's very narrow-minded. That's not the way I go about. And then also, one of the best things about the United States is freedom of speech and being able to challenge other viewpoints.
Yeah, this caused me to do some extensive research. I googled him. And it turns out he's the host of this podcast, and they're basically like marketing themselves as a dollar store version of Andrew Tate.
I love it when people say that, right?
I never understand that comment because like people don't realize this, that Fresh and Fit were I want to say like the first people that started really platforming Andrew Tate. That's how I learned. Well, no, that's not true. I met Andrew Tate, or I met Fresh and Fit podcast through the Andrew Tate show, or through watching Andrew Tate. But the Fresh and Fit podcast was going on way before Andrew Tate started blowing up. But somehow there's a dollar store. Like people don't understand that at all. Like it wasn't Tate then Fresh and Fit. It's Fresh and Fit then Tate.
That is one of the most common things people tell me is that I'm a dollar store Andrew Tate. But they don't realize that I knew Andrew before he blew up. He came on our podcast several times. We had great discussions, and he had his meteoric rise. Shout out to him. But I had been doing this before.
I think that was the first time I watched an episode of Fresh and Fit. Like I saw him a couple times, like on lives or on those shorts. I saw him a couple times. But yeah, I really started watching their episodes until when Andrew Tate first went on the show. Now look at me. I watch more Fresh and Fit podcasts than I do the Andrew Tate show. So
his meteoric rise to fame and him becoming the most, Googled man on earth. As a matter of fact, a lot of our clips when he came on our podcast helped to blow him up. Now, with that said, I want to be very explicitly clear about this. Andrew would have been successful with or without us. Okay, there's just a matter of time. But for people to say I'm a dollar store Andrew Tate as if I wasn't already doing this, it's comical. And all the real ones in the chat know, right? You guys all know. A lot of you guys met Andrew through watching us, or found Andrew through watching us, and now he's a close friend. He's a great guy. So it's always hilarious to me when people say this talking point. It's not true.
Guys, real quick note from Naima the Hungover Editor. He wrote a book called Why Women Deserve Less.
It was Amazon bestseller.
Let's
see if she even read it.
Has had Andrew Tate and Nick Fun.
No, she of course not. She didn't even read it. The book, right? And I told you guys this before. It has a catchy title, but the purpose of the book is to explain to you guys how the dating marketplace has changed and how feminism has come in and changed everything. And I go into detail. I show studies, etc. It's a clickbait title a little bit. Yes, it's hilarious, and I released it on Valentine's Day, which makes it even funnier. But
that was funny. I remember when he first made it. That was hilarious.
You did.
So her saying this crap about the book, she didn't even read it. It's only 100 pages, by the way.
It is on
It's what?
I think it's like 89.
Yeah, 89 to 100 pages.
his podcast multiple times. He gets for them pretty hard.
Oh, so she says Dick Rice. So supporting my friends who are hated by society means I'm a D-rider. Like, you guys do understand that when you have viewpoints that tend to be a bit more right or far right or whatever you want to call it nowadays, you're going to get a lot of hate on the internet, right? So people come at Nick, people come at Andrew, people come at a lot of my friends. And I defend all my friends. Why? Because there's so few of us, guys. There are so few of us, okay? If you look at it, there's far more left-wing creators than there are right-wing creators. I don't know if you guys have caught on to that. Like, look at Twitch right now. We're probably one of the biggest right-leaning podcasts on the platform, on Twitch, right? So guys like us often get attacked. We get ridiculed. We're called names. People use pejorative, racist, and bigotry terms against us, right, to try to delegitimize our viewpoints and our stances. So guess what? Yes, you're damn right I'm going to stand by Nick. You're damn right I'm going to stand by Andrew. You're damn right I'm going to stand by these guys because we have a certain worldview that is rare, okay? And it's especially rare. Well, let me rephrase. It's not rare, but it's rare in the world of social media. There we go, right? Because a lot of people think the way that we do, which is why we've been able to blow up and cultivate huge audiences because people agree with what we're saying.
I think
but when it comes to social media,
for the most part, not entirely, but for the most
a lot
part,
of people are scared to say that the things that we say, even though they might agree with us in secret and in private. Which, trust me, a lot of them have come up to me. These big creators with millions upon millions of followers, A-list celebs, they come up to me and tell me, "Hey, I fuck what you say," but they can't come out and say it, right? So, with that said, that's why I stand so closely behind my friends that have the same viewpoints as me, because there's not many of us in the social media world. So if she wants to call that D-writing, whatever. I mean, I call it loyalty. It's a very lost trait in masculinity, but she's a social media influencer in her 20s, so she doesn't have any concept of how masculinity works or loyalty or any of that stuff, because that's not a trait that she respects or even adheres to.
He hates black women. He openly calls them ghetto and all.
Not true. I hate ghetto behavior. That does not mean that I hate black people. That is not true whatsoever. I'm very critical. I talked about, and here's the thing, I'm one of the few people that's willing to address the problems, right? So I've always said a big part of the black community that creates where we need to fix things is we need to bring the father back in the household.
That's not right.
That is why we have so many issues, crime-ridden areas, drug trafficking, etc. And the hood, and we have all these ghetto people. It's not because of the color of their skin, it's because they don't have fathers. Explain to me how back in the 1960s, during the civil rights era, when the black people when blacks were the most oppressed, they had some of the most growth, most businesses, highest earning, highest wages, good quality of life outside of the Jim Crow laws. Why is that? Well, because it's because the oppression forced the family to stay together. And when the family stays together, right, that is going to be one of the biggest dictators of a productive society and group of people. So it's the behavior. See, notice how she said, "I don't like black women," and then she immediately says, "Oh, he says that they're all ghetto." That's not true.
Ghetto and all kind of, he openly calls them ghetto and all kind of crazy stuff on his podcast.
A lot of them are ghetto. This is true.
Yeah.
Now, content like this is especially bad.
But I find it interesting because, like, I call white girls ghetto, Hispanic girls ghetto, black girls ghetto. Like, that's a behavior that's not necessarily tied to a racial group. Now, are there certain patterns that might be more prevalent in one group than another? Of course, that's just human society. But for her to try to say that I gave a blanket statement about that is not true.
Because they're essentially marketing misogyny, and they're branding it as like advice
I bet she
for
could
young
even
men.
define
So
misogyny.
they're basically profiting off of young men's.
Another talking point that's often said: how much do you guys want to bet if I ask this woman to tell me, to define to me what misogyny means, she would not be able to define it? Misogyny is basically the hatred and or contempt of women. Do I hate women? I got Andrew sitting right next to me, who I adore very much.
You guys want to know something funny? He asked me what misogyny meant on our first date.
Yeah.
Oh, he died?
No,
It's fine. I
no,
just wanted to
it's
say
fine.
that.
You're good.
I said it was prejudice of women, and he said no, it's hatred for women. And I was like, dude, it's the same thing. But we had like a little argument that day. I remember.
Yeah, but she was wrong. But anyway, but the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of these like people say, "Oh, you're a misogynist, you're that, blah blah blah," right? And the reason why they use these pejorative, this is what the left does, okay, guys, right? So let me give you guys the left wing debate strategy.
I mean,
Shout out to
they
King
do it.
Subscriber Prime.
They do that because they have no real argument. So if they paint you in the bad light, oh, you're a misogynist, you're racist, homophobic, blah blah blah. If they do that, they don't really have to. They can go back to their followers. It's like, well, I mean, I didn't really want to validate their arguments because they're racist, sexist, homos, blah 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 blah. That's why they do it. They do it just because it's like I can say these things in their minds, at least. I can say these things, and then I don't have to worry about not being able to defeat their ideas well. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what they say. They're racist. They're sexist. They're homophobic. That's what, it doesn't matter what they say. It's just a way to take away the what they're saying without actually being able to argue well, at least in their eyes.
Right, Apollo subscribe for a month. J Roser. So this is what liberals do. This is why I like Destiny so much. This is why I respect Destiny, guys, because Destiny doesn't actually use this rhetoric, right? What the left does is this. They basically call you a racist, a bigot, a sexist, a misogynist. They use one of these pejorative terms, right, about where you stand on a being culturally insensitive, whatever the fuck it may be, right? And they use that as an excuse to not have their views challenged. One more time.
Yeah, basically.
This is the debate tactic that the left uses. They get its term, anti-Semite, whatever it may be. They use one of these terms because talking points with ad hominem ever refute your arguments.
To monetize mental health issues and insecurities, to monetize misogyny.
No, to monetize masculinity, which understands that men and women are different. Men have certain duties and women have certain duties, and this is how it's been since the beginning of time. And there's nothing wrong with that. The genders are different. I think men are put on earth to protect and provide for women. And I find it interesting how girls will say all the time, like women like this, by the way, not all, but women like this that tend to be, liberals. They call
Pretty
me
much
a
every
misogynist,
single
right?
one that has a
But
bull
they don't
ring,
talk about
guaranteed.
how all the clips where I say women need to be protected, provided for, etc. I don't think they should work. I think they should be able to have the privilege of deciding if they want to work or not, right? Angela got to fucking work. She could if she wants, but she doesn't have to. I'd rather her work for me, right? But if she said, hey, I really want to do this or whatever, we'd have a discussion. I'd be like, look, you don't need to, but if she wants to, she can. And I think that's something that every woman should be able to enjoy. Now, the problem is that a lot of men aren't in a position where they can support their woman like that, right? But
And the secret to that to the whole thing is pretty much most, if not all, women want that. They want to be able to have that where they don't have to work. They can work electively and not really have to work if they don't want to. It's what most women want. Probably all. I there's probably 2 or 3 women in the world that don't want that, but most of them do. Let's be honest. Like, vast majority of them do. I'm willing to bet 99% of them want that. They want someone that'll take care of them, and they don't have to work if they don't want to, or they'll work, but they get to keep all their money while you spend all your money on them. That's what they want.
I am traditional. I think men should provide. I think men need to be the breadwinners. I think the man needs to take care of the woman. That's how it goes. If she wants to work a job on the side, that's okay, assuming the family duties are taken care of, right? The kids are taken care of, etc. If you have kids, I don't think she should work at all. But if it's just you and some dogs or whatever, want to get a part-time job, that's fine. But I find it interesting how they only take my pro-masculinity talking points, but they never take my talking points about how I talk about how men need to take care of women. Because the thing with me is I'm painfully congruent. Painfully congruent. Okay? I'll give you an example. As you guys know, Asmongold got banned, suspended off of Twitch for making comments about Palestinians, right? Saying that they genocide. Okay. They're thinking about why
I just want to see more of his
banned,
comments on
dislike,
this chick.
To bring this up because you're pro. Men need to take care. When I say other bullshit like that, agree with taking care of you sit there. No, to provide, but agree with your goals. By that, girl, the bill. Really? So
To dying alone.
comes to my content.
These guys are selling you a one-way ticket to dying alone. Don't buy.
Really?
No, that's leftist ideology.
I teach guys to go to the gym, make money, become successful, to die alone. No,
that's leftist idea. That's simp ideology. That's what this chick wants you. She wants you to put her on a pedestal because she's so awesome, even though she looks dirty. Like she looks like a dirty hippie. She's got a fucking nose ring, the fucking piercing in the top of her head. She's got dreads. She looks dirty, but she wants you to put her on a pedestal, simp for her, so that when she's tired of you, she can just leave you and you got nothing in the end. Like, that's like the simp ideology where you put women on a pedestal and not treat them like they are. Like, they are inferior to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Just because they're inferior to you and you treat them as inferior doesn't mean you have to treat them poorly. Just means that you understand your role in the hierarchy. You're above, they're below. You got to treat them as such. And again, that doesn't mean you treat them poorly. You just got to understand how to treat them correctly.
So that they can have a woman alongside them that they can take care of. If anything, I'm helping them create the foundation so they will never die alone. I'm making him a catch so that he can support and take care of a family.
To Myron, I cannot imagine the amount of self-shame that you feel to make content like this, and I'm sorry that you're going through it. I'm rude. I am sorry that you changed your name to conform to this ideal that is degrading you.
What?
Am I hiding my name? I mean, you can see it right behind. Right here. It's right there. See, unlike this woman, I had a real career before the internet. Am I hiding my name? These awards? Hiding my name? Director's Award. One of the best agents when I was in Texas. Right? My name is all over the place.
That's probably how she learned his name, too.
I never changed it. But what she doesn't realize, once again, ill-informed, I used to work for the government. I used to hold a top secret clearance. So when I worked for the government, I did very sensitive cases and I had big cases. So I started my fitness business and I started doing this podcasting stuff, right, while I was working for the government. So what did I have to do? I was like, well, I have a unique name. If you Google my name, criminal cases come back on Pacer.
That's my problem, too.
I am going to go ahead and use a stage name But I didn't predict that I would blow up like this. So the stage name just stuck. But when people say, oh yeah, you don't even use your real name or whatever, blah, 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 or you fake your name, it's because I was in the professional world with a government fucking clearance, doing real shit, going after terrorists, going after bad guys, etc. And I have a unique name. If you Google it, it comes up and shows my court documents. So again, nice try.
Nope.
But that's an L.
Myron, you're talking too high level to this chick. She has never hold a real job. she's at most been a Starbucks barista. At most.
And it's saying I have self-shame. What? Notice how guys, she has not refuted any of my arguments.
All of the women.
My main argument, this all started with me saying, you need Aiden and Nick. They don't need you. See how she just went on a whole ad hominem attack on me when I said that you're a nobody and you need them more than they need you. And she goes into this whole fucking tirade about my podcast and what I talk about and what I do.
Like, in all honesty, does anyone know this?
Women who have shown you love and support in your life, and all of the young men who you platform to. But I really think you should reevaluate it because it's fucked up, dude. This is a weird business model. So to all of my young fans, I want you to remember every single content creator you follow is getting paid. And that's fine.
Yes, and I've been extremely transparent about that. Matter of fact, I've been so transparent about it that I've shared real estate deals that I do. I show you guys my crypto wallet.
Hold on. That's an argument. Oh, everyone's getting, the content creators you're following get paid. Yeah. So what is this crap? Like, of course they're getting paid. What? Like, you think people do this out of the goodness of their heart? Or, like, they're either getting paid or wanting to get paid. Like, in all honesty, like, I like, what is this argument? Hey, he's getting paid. Yeah, that's what we all want. We all want to get paid. We all want to get paid for our views. You think I'm doing this just because, oh man, I just really, it's a little bit of that. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit of that. But if I had the ability to get paid for this and quit my normal job, of course I'd fucking do this. Like, what is this? What is this terrible attempt at an own or whatever she's trying to do? Like, yeah, of course he's gonna try and get paid for this. Who wouldn't want to get paid?
I showed you guys my my Vanguard account where I show you guys like me investing in index funds. Like when it comes, I haven't talked to you. So my finances on the
Try to profit off of love and
oh my god,
not being assholes. To profit off of love.
Hold
on, what did she say?
And some of us try to profit off of love and not being assholes. And some of us don't. So just remember that when you're consuming content and take this shit with a grain of salt because really it's not this serious. Bye.
Yeah. Again, L. Didn't refute any of my arguments whatsoever. All she did was sit there and make ad hominem.
All her content is just a bunch of simps saying, "Oh, you're so pretty." Really hoping that they'll if they say that she'll touch their pee-pee. That's all that was. That's all she is really. Because I remember again, watch the Jubilee 20 versus 1, the Charlie Kirk one. She didn't really do anything. Like they kept saying he owned her. He didn't. She didn't at all. She didn't own Charlie Kirk, and she's terrified of debating Nick or debating anyone because someone with substance because they probably end up losing. All right, I will be right back. Just don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I gotta do something real quick. Sorry about that. I need some energy after that bullshit. What a dumb broad. It's all about love. No. Sometimes you need a kick in your ass. Okay? You need less love. Oh, that's good. All right. So let's get to what we were really going to watch today. I just wanted to watch that because it was funny. I knew it was going to be funny. Some dumb broad. So let's check out Kamala Harris. I know it's a couple days old. But whatever, we're gonna watch it anyways because it's contributing to what I think is causing Kamala to be really down on the polls lately. So let's listen. It's about like 27 minutes long, so it's not very long, and nothing really is said here. So let's listen.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
We're gonna go.
Voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania.
Now I was planning to do this in normal speed, but I'm thinking we're gonna go 1.5 because we all know she doesn't say anything of value.
Pennsylvania, that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay.
let's take a second here. He asked her a very simple question. He asked her a very simple question, and she's not answering. She's just deflecting at this point.
Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your
And-
Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of 6
system
million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you
No.
came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress before
It was
we
an
worked on
amnesty bill.
infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act,
Okay.
before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called
And-
the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021. It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes,
May
ma'am.
I finish responding,
But
please?
but this-
you have to let me finish.
You had the
please.
White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and
in
they
the
didn't bring
middle
up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then finish.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation.
Okay, it's a priority. What the fuck have you been doing for the past 4 years? Okay, like you put this amnesty bill in. You didn't really end up getting it through, even though you controlled not only the executive, you controlled the legislative branch as well that uses to pass the fucking laws. You didn't do shit. Like they didn't even bring this amnesty bill up that you wanted. And then all of a sudden, as it grows closer to the election, oh, you put a border bill.
And for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members.
Again, that was towards the end when the election was coming up. And they realized, hey, we're not really doing good on this election. Well, shit, are we?
Members of the United States Congress to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done
Yes, ma'am.
as the
So why did you wait till 2024 to push this bill? Or was it the end of 2023? You waited till like it was damn near election time for you to push any type of bill. So what the fuck is oh yeah, well I wanted this awesome bill. Then why didn't you push for it until it was damn near election time?
former attorney general of a border state,
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
prosecuted trafficking of
Really? Okay, cool. Didn't you also hold a bunch of black people past their sentencing or something like that for marijuana charges? You held like a bunch of black criminals for marijuana charges. You held them back. You held them in jail after their sentences were done. Didn't you do that, or am I just crazy?
drugs, guns, and human beings. And
six
Donald Trump,
Democrats-
but let me just finish.
Six
And
Democrats
Donald
voted
Trump
against that bill.
learned about that bill and told them to kill it because
'cause
he
it was a
preferred to run
shit
on a
beer.
problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election,
Again, let's just remember this, okay? Like they keep saying, "Oh, they try to run on a problem instead of fix a problem." Blah blah blah. They've had 4 years to work on this, and they just did it right when about when the election was coming up. Okay, so they had 4 years for like what, a year or two in the beginning. I can't remember how long it was, but a year or two in the beginning. They held not only the executive branch, but they also held the legislative branch. And he still didn't do shit. Their amnesty bill that was so great in her opinion was terrible, or wasn't so good because none of because none of her none of the legislative branch wanted to vote on it. None of it, or get them enough that really just got killed before it really got going. So what is this crap?
this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions. And they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
6
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8.
Yeah. So, like, again, yeah, okay, yeah, you're playing games because you decided to vote to try and put this in in 2024. So right when hey, it's election season. Let's put this bill that won't do any good.
Million
Really.
illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced.
Yeah, then why didn't you
for a
do
loss that
anything?
should not have occurred. So
Why didn't you
that
do
is
anything?
true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together
Madam Vice President.
to ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because
And
there was a
why?
solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a
Then why didn't you do it for the past 4 years? Like, like, again, like, you people, like, I understand how that people are dumb. I can't believe people are this fucking dumb sometimes. It's like, for the past 4 years, they had this problem. And then in 2024, oh, it's election season. Let's try and fix this problem now. Why didn't you do it before? They can't answer that. They can't answer that. You ask them that question, they can't answer that. And you can see this because she's not answering the question.
in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungari's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
I don't believe she's that.
But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But you want to
in
answer-
Yeah,
all
you mean
fairness,
Kamala
I
Harris?
told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming
yeah.
a crisis?
Yeah, for 3 years. Don't forget that too. I keep forgetting that part. For 3 years. For 3 years. Hey, border's fine. Border's secure. Nothing wrong with the border. Nothing to see here. Now all of a sudden, 2024 election season. Oh, border's a problem.
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is
Really?
a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you.
I don't know. It's just me. Maybe it's just the 1.5 speed, but the high pitch kind of makes me think that she's lying.
And I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We
That's
need the
actually
support
true.
for
They
those
do
cases
need
that
more
should be
judges.
prosecuted. They need more resources. And
Yeah, but it's not. That wasn't all that was in the bill. Like they keep touting, oh, there's more judges. We'd give you more judges. We'd give you more patrol officers. But were they actually able to actually enforce the job, like enforce the law? Okay. There's also like a provision that said that you had to let 5,000 immigrants in before you could actually shut down the border. Okay. There was money going to NGOs that actually help people cross the border. What else was there? There was other bad things. I'm looking on Rob Knorr's Twitter because he had an argument with someone about this before this interview. I'm just trying to find it because he lays out all the issues with the border bill. So. Wonder if I can just. Oh, also, it would be codified into law, meaning they could not, even if Trump won this election, he couldn't get it removed, or had at least a very hard time getting it removed. Let's see what else. Let's see. Enshrines catch and release into federal law. New authority for Biden to grant asylum to a limited number of illegals. Path to making Biden migrants into voting citizens. Grants millions of work permits for illegals. Taxpayer funded to fly and house illegals. So, I mean, there's a bunch of issues with that border bill. Damn, I wish it really. Oh, there we go. No, that was old. But yeah, there's a bunch of issues with that so-called border bill that she's touting that Trump is, and I think Trump's doing a bad job. He should be like, yeah, I killed it. You want to know why I killed it? Here's why I killed it. It was terrible. It didn't actually solve anything. It just allowed more illegals to get in, and make it more legal for them to do it. It was terrible. Let's see. Just looking, seeing, because Rob Noor really laid it out. I was listening to him argue with someone a while back. I guess I can't really find it, but it was a bad law. Like, I think we all know it's a bad law. You know, it's a bad law.
And Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brad.
Well,
that's how the system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security.
like, look, that's a big talking point for you. The Border Patrol really wanted this bill. And now the Border Patrol Union's like, yeah, we endorse Trump. Like, if you give them shit and say, this is all we're going to give you, this is your only option, of course they want it, because that's all they got.
Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done.
No,
These
it
guys
wouldn't.
down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
They've been working
There's a lot
around
of
the
people
clock for 4 years, and you didn't do shit about it.
Back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free healthcare. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over.
Well, that's a non-answer. I will follow the law. But don't you have a hand in how, what laws, Don't you have influence on the law?
Again, and as vice president of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I'm very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel
shit.
to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross.
Okay, then what were you doing the past 4 years? Like, again, you can't run from this no matter how hard she tries. She can't run from this. What were you doing for the past 4 years? You're like, oh, I did this, blah, blah, da, 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 da. Okay, what about the past 4 years? You lied to us saying, hey, border's not a problem. No problem here. Ooh. And, oh, now there's a problem in 2024.
Cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery for prisoners. For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available to on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition
Well,
surgeries
you know what? You got to
happened
take
during
responsible for what
his
happened in your
presidency.
administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened.
I agree. Guess what? Look, I've been saying this for a while, okay? I understand she's the vice president. She doesn't really have much power. Unfortunately for her, we know that first off, the vice presidency is, technically, in the eyes of the American public, at the very least, the second in command. Okay? Especially considering the rules of succession and all that stuff. So the problem for her is everything that happens under the Biden, and this is a problem with all vice presidents, okay? The things that happen under the administration you're a vice president of, it even if you aren't really able to do shit much with that, you can't. You're still, you still get the stink of it. Okay. So I think you're responsible for everything that happens under your administration. Yeah, that applies to you too. 4 years, and you didn't do shit about the border. 4 years, the country's gone down the drain. 4 years, 2 wars have broken out while you were, in charge. And another thing, what's even unique for Harris is the fact that we know, okay, like everyone's known for a while, but we know for sure Biden's mentally deficient. Okay, he's not all there. So most people, the average American will be thinking, all right, well, the president isn't really all that there. So Kamala, whatever, Harris is the one who has to be running things because she's second in command. That's the average Joe. That's average Joe thinking. And shit's gone shitty like for a while now. Like, what is this crap? So, like, that was a dumb quote for her. Well, you gotta take responsibility for what happened under your administration. I hope Trump teams clip that and have been running ads on that for this entire time.
In this presidency. So would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment?
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas $20 million on that.
What is how much money Trump spent on an ad and have to do with the question at hand? Are you going to support this? Yes or no? That's all that's being asked.
On an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though. On plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy.
Didn't you guys kill small businesses with your lockdowns and shit? Extending the lockdowns, by the way.
I'm offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy.
Oh, so you're going to cut taxes so that, and give tax incentives for people to have families? Okay, you're going to do that? You're not. You give them some bullshit. What, 200, 2,500 tax credit, whatever it is, or was it 5,600 tax credit? Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Doesn't really help. Like, it helps a little bit in the beginning, but long run doesn't really fucking help.
As have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People
and Biden Harris, come on, like, stop that. Look, here's what the actual fact is. All right, you can say all this. Oh, well, I have a bunch of experts that say that. Oh, we're all good. Oh, this is the greatest thing. Here is your problem. COVID happened. Okay, the cough. All right, that happened. Okay, and we saw how that went with the experts. Okay, that's what happened. Like, come on, so the American people, the average Joe, don't really trust the experts. Okay, just saying, oh, I have experts. Experts agree with me. Doesn't work. Doesn't fly with the American people anymore. And it is what it is. Now, here's another problem with the Harris administration or the Harris campaign. What this really comes down to, for the American people, the average people, is this. All right. Whatever she wants to say, when whatever, the high IQ people think, Harris is tied to the Biden administration because she's VP. She may not have been if she was like, maybe Secretary of State or something like, something that like, oh, you're part of the discussions, but you don't really have much of a say. But she was VP, and most people will think, okay, VP means she has a far greater say in what things go than all the other cabinet members. That's how people think. So Harris is tied to the Biden administration. So what this really comes down to is how your life was during Trump's administration and how your life is during the Biden/Harris administration. Okay. And that's how American people are going to think. Okay. They're not going to listen to, oh, my experts think this. My experts think this. We've seen what happens when you listen to experts. Generally doesn't work well for us. At least this, before. So they're going to say, all right, let me think. How was my life down? How was my life during Trump? Well, I had more money in my pocket. The groceries were down. Groceries were like, even my wife, who doesn't really follow politics, comments all the time how expensive groceries are. Okay. Like she's like, oh my God, like the fucking groceries are so like they cost so goddamn much now. And she knows that because she's the one who buys the groceries. I don't. Okay, because I'm working all the time, so she buys the groceries. So even she, who doesn't really follow politics as well, notice this. But so the average American person is gonna be like, all right, well, the groceries were lower, gas was lower. At the height of COVID, gas was $2. Okay, where I live, $2. Are you fucking kidding me? $2. Okay, so all right, I had more money. The world there was no wars. That's all going through the American people's mind. Okay. And that's a problem for the Harris campaign is we can directly compare the Trump administration. We know what the Trump administration was like. We don't know what the Harris administration is going to be like. We think it's just going to be Biden 2.0. And the reason we think that is because every time she's asked, like, what would you change? And I think later on in this interview that she's asked that, she's like, no, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change a damn thing. I do exactly what we did before. But then also touting, oh, I'm the change. I'm different. I'm different from Biden. But I do the same thing as Biden, but I'm different from Biden. Okay. So we got this convoluted message, and everyone's, regular people are like, well, I'm going to go with the guy who's already proven himself. And hey, fuck it.
People are ready to chart a new way forward. And they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country.
Again, I have a plan. I have a plan. This is your time to actually talk about the damn plan. But you're not. You're talking about how bad Trump is. But again, the American people are thinking, well, the economy was really good during Trump.
My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting.
Yeah, okay. So we give tax cut to the people that own the companies, which would incentivize them to hire more employees. Weird.
Turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than
President. Oh, here we go. I just mentioned this.
Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Okay. So I want to go back. Let's listen to that again. Okay.
And I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had.
So she just said on television, hey, I've been part of most of the decisions made by this administration. So she's just said that she's been part of the decision making when it comes to in the Biden administration. So now, more average Americans are going to continue. All right. So Biden, Harris, Trump. They're going to compare the two, and if this is a fair election, Trump wins. I don't think he's going to win. I really don't think he's going to win. But it's just ridiculous at this point. Like, she admits it. Like, she even says, "Oh, I've been part of all the decisions." So she can't go back and say, "Well, it wasn't my fault. I was just the vice president. He didn't really let me in on any of the decisions." And then she's like, "Well, I've been part of most of the decisions." Come on, you can't have both. You can't have both.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And so that would be one change. But also, I think it's important to say with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So You're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every
Well, what, lady, will you do different then? Because that's what people are trying to fucking figure out. What are you gonna do that's different from Donald Trump or from Biden? What are you gonna do differently? We haven't gotten an answer. No one freaking knows.
new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing.
Yeah, her plan for increased housing is just build more houses. That's her plan.
Addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
I think he messed up here saying, without adding also, you've been vice president for the past 4 years. And in that video, you said you've been part of all the decisions or most of them. So what are you going to do different?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have America.
Is that the rhetoric where, you got Democrats saying, hey, if you know a Republican, go confront them and scream at them. You're not welcome. You're not welcome here. That kind of rhetoric? Or how about, I'm going to set up a bail fund for people that riot and burn down cities. That rhetoric? Like, come on.
Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
That is turning the page. 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on. You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about.
Yeah, what is she talking about?
Is that over the last decade, people have become, but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me,
Okay, she's like, for the past decade, Donald Trump's been saying bad things. Cool. You've been vice president for the past 4 years. That's a lot earlier than a decade. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Former chief.
So Donald Trump says mean things. Okay, I don't give a shit. What the fuck have you done that makes our country better? Why is our country going down the hill?
Of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid?
What is it? I would never say that about.
Like, what was that answer? Hold on, let's go back to
It's not supposed for president.
The 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
Let's listen to this question. Hold on. Sorry. Let's listen.
It's not supposed to president of
the 47th president, half of this country, swing states. Okay. Why? If he's why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of
So she just went in saying, he says mean things. He's horrible. He says mean things. He says mean things. He says mean things. And then was it Brett? Whatever the fuck his name is, asked a very poignant question. Okay, if he's so bad, so terrible, why does half the country want to re-elect him or elect him again? Why is he beating you in the swing states? Why is he doing so well if he's so terrible?
Swing states. Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
Now let's listen to her answer. She got asked a very direct question. If he's so terrible, why is he beating you?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
Like, okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm going to go normal speed.
I know. This person who
Is
could
it just me speeding it up, or does her voice actually get that high pitch?
be the 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to.
Okay, yeah. So her voice is actually getting that high pitch. Like, all right. Like whenever someone's voice gets high pitched for no fucking reason, makes me think they're they're saying a lot of BS and shit. But she says, like he asked, okay, he's so terrible. Why is he beating you? And her response is, it's not supposed to be easy. It's not really a fucking answer.
To be easy?
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
So are they
cakewalk.
misguided?
We don't think that it's supposed to be a cakewalk, but he asked you a very direct question. It's like, why is he beating you if he's so terrible? And her answer is, well, it's not supposed to be easy.
I did the 50%.
Listen,
Are they stupid?
Oh
What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military.
It's kind of weird. She's getting so offended by the enemy within. That's what they've been calling Donald Trump for the past 4 years. He's an enemy within. He's colluding with Russia. Well, actually, past 8 years. He's been colluding with Russia. He's an enemy of this people. He's an enemy within. Like, what is this crap?
Military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just.
Here's your problem. All right. You guys end up blowing out what he says. And then when we actually go and like, I think he ends up saying like later, like in a couple days, like, sometime today or yesterday, he made it, oh yeah, that wasn't the clip or whatever. I don't know. I haven't done much research into that. But I mean, let me just say this. It's like, even if that's what he said, like, if he said those words, I bet if we go back, there's some context that is important. And that's the problem with the Harris and the lefties and all that. They say all this shit. We go back, we look, and it turns out, it's not really what they made it seem like to be.
Just showed.
He was asked.
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to
you, that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked.
You're turning the freaking FBI against the American people. What are you talking about? All right. She's trying to get all indignant. What are you talking about? Do you guys remember the FBI going after parents who were kind of upset about the school board trying to transition their kids? What's she fucking talking about?
Talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy.
We're not a democracy. We're a republic. What a dumb bitch. It's so fucking dumb. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. And that's what you're trying to do with Donald Trump. You disagree with him, so you're trying to lock him up. You made a bunch of phony bullshit charges. And it looks like that the charges in New York are going to end up getting like dropped or something because the appeal court, and I think it's the case where he paid the Stormy Daniels case. No. It was the real estate one. And the Court of Appeals are like, why the fuck? Like the justice is like, why was this even brought? Because so what are you talking about? You're the guys utilizing the justice system against your political opponent. Stop it.
The president of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said.
Oh, is this the same Mark Milley who called China and said, hey, China, if we go and attack, I'll let you know. The traitor Mark Milley. You really want to be with that guy? I don't think that's a good idea for you.
About Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump. You call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now he's unstable.
He is unstable.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Oh, shit.
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions.
Then why did you guys oust him in a very undemocratic coup? Because that's what it was. He failed on that debate stage, and it was after the primaries. So you couldn't really go back and get a bunch of other people to vote or anything. Like instead of going back and having everyone re-vote again, you just installed yourself. What the fuck are you talking about? He's clearly not on the level because he's not running for a second term. If he was really on the level that you're talking about, it'd be him in that chair, not you.
On behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but,
Donald Trump
but
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After
is.
George Clooney said.
But she's right. Joe Biden is not on the ballot. But here's the problem. You were part of the lies that were saying that, oh, he's fine, he's good, he's fine, he's all right. And it turns out they're not true. So you lied to us about something very important. Why should we trust you now? You were part of the lying, saying he was all good. And then as soon as it turns out, like it was shown in everyone's face, he was not good. You guys ousted him and installed you as a person who couldn't win a single primary vote at the last election. Like, what are you fucking, like, what is this?
Within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser, that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why.
No. We're not really, because we heard you guys say this before. It didn't turn out to be true. And you guys lied about us about Biden. And then you guys cooed him or cooed against him and ousted him because he wasn't gonna. And he was gonna, no, I'm gonna go run regardless. Okay. And you guys committed a giant coup against him and to prevent him from running for a second term. No, is that like, stop it.
The people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should.
Okay. Why the fuck should I care what they say? Like why should I care about what she said? Again, the average person, why should I care about what these people say? Because again, a lot of these people Trump fired might have some incentive to get back at him because he fired him. So like a lot of these people, like why should we trust him? Why should we trust him? Again, the average American person going back to Trump, Trump's administration to now, my life was better. Gas was lower. Groceries were lower. Inflation was lower. Like, yeah, I had more money in my pocket. All this shit. You can't really try this anymore. It's not going to work.
Should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact.
But no one likes my
That
Pence,
is a fact.
So.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay, this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the number one threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
But those
is,
proxies were getting
and
funded
my
by Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go
that
the Iran regime.
that we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches. Not to mention how Donald Trump has.
No, I think what you're saying is bullshit there. I bet he's not. I bet he didn't say that.
All of this money
Has treated
that
and
has
talked
gone
about
in the
America.
And also, okay, yeah, we pulled out a deal. It was a bad deal. Didn't really do much. And then you guys came around and just gave him a bunch of fucking money. Like, what is
As military and military service people
Critics
calling
say
them
that it goes to
suckers and
Hezbollah,
losers.
Hamas.
has
Oh, see, this is why we can't trust you, Kamal. That's been debunked like 1,000 times at this point. That's a lie. You're lying to us again. This is why you're doing. That's why no one trusts you.
diminished
And who
the
is? We're talking
significance.
over each other. I
Well,
apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes.
And the facts. You mean what you just lied about? The whole suckers and losers been debunked a bunch of times.
I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election. And
Yeah, and you haven't done any of that. Like, you haven't presented yourself in a good light. All you've done was say Donald Trump bad.
the contrast
Donald
is
Trump's
important.
bad. Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks
your
to make
problem.
a
You
decision
guys
that
had
they
two
feel.
Look at what the
wars
administration
started up
did
in your
and say and think
administration.
differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have
there
much more to
are a
say,
lot of
actually.
things that people want to learn
all
about
you
you
talked about was
and your
Trump. You didn't
policies,
give
and
us
that's why
anything
we
I
about
invited
invite
you.
everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80.
All right. So there we go. That, like, you know, it's a load of crap. Like, no one trusts this bitch. Like, seriously. Let's see. Hold on. All right. So I just want to point this out. All right. So this is this is coming from Real Clear Politics. I just want to point this out. The Intel swing states here. These are all the swing states. The polls, at least for the swing states. So as of as of yesterday, they have Trump winning by 3. Let's see. For Pennsylvania, in Michigan, they have Trump winning by 3. In Wisconsin, they have Harris winning by 1. In Georgia, they have Trump winning by 2. In North Carolina, they have Harris winning by 2. And then he's tied in Arizona and Nevada. That was as of a couple days ago. So let's see here. Yeah. So let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 swing states that are saying Trump's winning. Okay. Like, seriously, like, and it's been like that for a bit, it looks like. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, that actually had, like, Trump started winning after her disastrous interview. So that's an issue for her. That's a big issue for her. And then another thing. Interesting. Another thing. This is again from Real Clear Politics. This is the betting odds. So these are people actually betting money on the presidential race, and it's pretty much it's all in favor of Donald Trump winning by a high amount. Okay, so like RCP average, so it's 58.3 for Trump and 40.8 for Harris. All right, now and then let's see. State of Union, President Biden's job approval is negative 15.4, 36.8 for direction of the country is on the wrong track. So, I mean, that's, this is what we have to go with. Now, I don't think you should take this for granted, and you should do everything you can. Like, if you live in these swing states, go out and, sell Trump, just fight. So, to get your voices heard so people will go and vote for Trump. Don't take this, oh, this is great, he's going to win for sure. No, it's not going to be a knockout, okay? Regardless of what those numbers say, reverse it, all right? Trump's the one who's down. Harris is up. That's how you should be acting, especially if you're in the swing states. If you're in an all-blue state, there's fuck all you can really do about it, all right? Like, if you live in, like, California, there's really not much you're going to be able to do. Just go out, encourage your people to vote, your friends to vote and all that stuff. Not, that's all you can really do. But if you're in the swing states, be going out, encouraging people to vote for Trump. Trump's the one we need, all right? And keep pretending until the voting has closed. Until that happens, Trump's losing, all right? In your mind, just keep it like Trump's losing. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think they're gonna let him. I'm willing to bet there's gonna be some fuckery again. That's just my opinion, and we'll see what happens then. But I don't think they're gonna let him in. There's a lot of people that think that too. Really want him in. He was great, and I think we all can admit he was great. And yeah, so and it was funny because apparently after this interview, the Fox interview, uh, Harris was trying to make it seem that hold on, that Donald Trump, like she's like, oh, he's saying he's exhausted and he's gonna he's blah 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 blah, and he's like, if you can't handle being in the race for this long, how can you expect him to run the country? Blah blah blah. Well, I think everyone can admit that trying to run for president is a lot harder than it is about than it is once you're in. Like it's a lot harder when you're trying to run for it than when you're in. So, okay, David O. Yeah, everyone whines when they lost. Like, what is this? Hillary never conceded. I don't think so. Did Hillary concede? No, Hillary did concede, but she still says it's a stolen election. Oh, okay. You wish you would grow up. Okay, whatever you say, brother. Was it Stacey Brown? What was her name? The chick that tried to run for in Georgia. She says that that the election was stolen. She's never conceded. But yeah, Trump's a whiner. Okay. Let's see. My man out here giving people French fries and shit. What are you talking about? Let's see. There's something here too. Hold on. Ah, here it is. Okay. She still lost. Like, I don't get she won the popular. Okay, but she still lost. All right. So let's see. So like I said, shortly after this, like Trump was on like Dan Bongino, and I don't know, for whatever fucking reason, there was Harris tried to float this thing where like, Trump's saying he's exhausted, he can't handle running for president, blah blah blah, and all that crap. And then someone posted this stuff of so this is the number of interviews that Trump's done. And mind you, a lot of these interviews that Trump done is hostile. Okay. She's had one hostile media performance and did terrible. Like Donald Trump's done like a bunch of hostile media appearances and interviews. She does one and ends up like just failing immensely. Okay. So for legacy media, we got 28 for Trump, 12 for Harris, 10 for radio, 7 for Harris. Hey, she almost made it. She almost got close to him. She almost tied. 10 print, 2 for Harris, 7 podcasters for Trump, 2 for Harris, 3 and 3. So video, I'm not sure what video is supposed to mean here. Maybe YouTube or something like that. And X Space. And so, but yeah, that was funny. I remember seeing that where Harris was like, oh, you can't handle running a campaign. You shouldn't be in office. But it's like, bitch, he's done more media appearances than you. And he's also done far more hostile interviews than you have. You did one and ended up and couldn't handle it. All right, so we got the interview that Trump did with PPD, Patrick Bet David. We're gonna check that out. There we go. Got this
in media. He won in politics. Again, there's never been a person who's done that. Like I said, whether you love him or hate him, you have to respect him. Mr. President, it's great to have you.
That was a nice introduction.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You are one of one.
Yeah, let's end the show right now.
Okay, so I want to get right into it. I got a lot of questions I want to ask you. Some of it's personal, some of it's business, some of it's politics.
Okay.
But something happened last week. Barack Obama, he's at this event, he's speaking.
Right.
And he's given this message about your economy, how great the economy was. And then at the end of it, he says, you didn't build that economy. I built this. I kind of want to get your reaction on this talk that he's given. Rob, if you can put that up.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
So how do you feel about this when you see him saying this last week?
I think he's angry. He pretends not to be, but I think he's an angry guy. He's a nasty guy. He's got a little bit of an edge, and he's angry about a lot of things. You look at what happened with Biden, and you look at what he did with Biden. He really hurt Biden because I'm not sure he wouldn't have imploded anyway. We had the debate, and he was down quite a bit, and they walked out, and they just took it away from him. I mean, if you think about it, they stole the election from a sitting president. That's, I always say coup, but the word coup, I don't think it's accurate enough. They just walked in and took it away from him. That is a legendary thing. He didn't want to give up. He's angry now. They're all angry, the Democrats, if you think she's angry. They're both angry. But no, I watched that last week, and I think he spoke down to black men. I thought it was terrible the way he spoke to them.
You think it's effective? You think he still carries the same stick as he did, maybe 8 years ago or 12 years ago?
No, I don't think he does. No, I don't think he does. I think people have gotten smart. And no, I don't believe he does at all. I hadn't seen him. He's changed a lot. Visually, he's changed. I'd like to say visually as opposed to from the look standpoint, because of course looks don't matter anymore in politics. You say looks don't matter. Doesn't make any difference because we want to be politically correct, but they do matter. But he's changed. His look has changed actually quite a bit. I haven't seen him in a long time.
And by the way, Rob, I think that's even 4 years ago. I think it's even more than
Well, no, but the statement he just made was a couple of days ago. And
it was a couple of days ago. And it's similar to the statement he made back in 2012 when he told business owners, you didn't build that. Remember when he said that? I don't know if you remember that whole comment. I think this is the speech, Rob, if you want to play this.
You got business. You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
So this becomes a pattern of
communism.
You see a pattern of communism?
Well, no, I mean, that's basically the view. We didn't do anything.
Right.
Government did it. Somebody did it, but anybody but us.
Do you think this works with the undecided voter? Do you think the undecided voter that's sitting, our audience, they're entrepreneurs, they're small business owners, they're family, they have kids, they want to win, they got dreams, they want to do something. Do you think a message like that from him lands on the business owner, on the undecided voter, on the person that says, you know what, I think he's right, I'm going to go vote for him? Do you think it works?
I think you don't have that many undecided voters. I think by now you have very strong Trump voters. I don't think you have strong Democrat voters, but I don't think you have strong Kamala voters. What's to vote for? I mean, take a look. She can't do an interview. Has she been in here to do an interview?
No, not yet.
I don't think you'll see her.
She's claiming she's going to go on Rogan.
Well, that'll be interesting. So am I.
I heard.
But I think I am. I don't know. I think so. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens today with Brett Baer. Brett's two people. He can be very nice or he can be himself.
Okay, so this interview happened the same time, apparently that, or at least was recorded at the same time that Kamala was going to go do her interview with Fox, and it ended up doing well.
He was tough on you. If he's tough on her the way he was tough on you, he was very tough on you.
He was always nasty to me. And,
right.
I don't think he'll be tough on her. I don't think he'll be. Fox is a very disappointing thing. During the days, Fox is just terrible. And
I want to show something with this. When you look at this whole Barack Obama thing, I think the one thing they don't show, you were talking yesterday, I think it was the Bloomberg event, which by the way, I loved. I love the way you handled the whole Paris conversation. That was a great event.
I got hoodwinked to go on that. I was supposed to make a speech in front of the Chicago Economic Club, which is a big deal, which is a very prestigious place, beautiful. Everything was beautiful. And all of a sudden I understand I'm being interviewed by this gentleman. And he's got a reputation for being about, I'd love to see him do Kamala. He should do Kamala. That would be beautiful. But he's a tough cookie, and he's the chairman of Bloomberg. He's a big. So all of a sudden, I'm being interviewed, and I wasn't happy about it because I found out that he is, his reputation precedes him. And but I decided to do it. You have a choice: walk out and don't do it and have a scandal, or go in and do it and hopefully win, or you go and do it and you get killed, which is probably the worst. But it was a great interview actually, and he was nasty, but he wasn't overly nasty to me. I mean, other people thought he was. I thought nastier was David Muir when he kept interrupting me during the debate and saying false things, like when I said crime is way up, and he said, no, crime is down. I said, you're wrong about that. Crime is up. And then 2 days later it came out that crime is up.
Right.
I mean, to me, that was much nastier than this gentleman. But it was really a study of business. It was a detailed study of business.
You talking about with the Bloomberg one?
With the Bloomberg,
right.
And people loved it.
I agree. The terrifying. And the one thing I wanted to show is the following. So you know how you talked about Jerome Powell, what an easy job. You come once a month and he said, we're going to increase the rates.
Greatest job there is.
I think this is the one thing they don't talk about. So Barack Obama got elected November 4th. Okay. Quantitative easing started November 26th.
Right.
And it stayed for 8 years until you got elected.
Right.
So if you look at that low, pretty much 0% interest rate,
right,
and then you get elected, right? If you go to January 2016, Rob, for the audience to see that. And then from there, one by one, rates are going up. And then Biden comes in, goes back down to 0 to try to save the economy. And then, the rest is obviously history.
Right.
But do you think the average person knows, like, the impact of going to 0%? How much does that positively help the impact when Fed lowers the rates to 0.5 point?
Yeah,
if I'm going to be honest, I'll probably skip a bunch of this. Looking at the timestamps. We'll probably watch this part here. We probably won't get into the CNN media crap because they don't give a shit. We'll see his views on Newsom and Elon and Tim Cook, the tariffs, of course, Iran sanctions, foreign policy, and I don't know what this part's here about. We'll check that out, see what See what that is. But we're not going to listen to him talk about Barron his emotions. I don't give a shit about, respectfully, don't care about his kid. So we'll listen to Barack and the economy, Van Jones, see if
Huge
that's an
impact.
interest.
The power of the Fed is, I think, pretty strong. Some people disagree with it. They think it's overridden by the interest rate climate. But I think the power of the Fed is very strong. It's an interesting graph, actually.
Yeah, this just shows that the rates didn't help you. When he says it was.
Well, they didn't use them to help me.
Right.
And Powell, I gave him a hard time because he was raising them. And I was never a big fan of his. He was late and he was early. He was too early and too late, But I had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Despite that, this is another thing I can say, despite the fact that they weren't very high, but they were, reasonably high. And despite the rate.
Again, the average American person is just going to remember when Trump was in office, I had more money in my pocket. All right. There wasn't, inflation wasn't as high. Gas was low. Okay. $2 to $3 a gallon. Okay. That's what people are going to remember. With the Biden-Harris administration, all were, inflation, too much gas, or costs too much for gas. Groceries are up. 2 new wars. They're trying to get us into World War III. That's all people are going to think about.
It's not being at zero. I had a pretty good. We had a great run.
Following up on the Barack Obama question, when I think about the 2024 election, I saw some numbers that came out, which I thought was fascinating.
Right.
Rob, if you can pull this up from CNN. So this is CNN reporting on this just 2 days ago. Okay, Barack Obama, when it comes down to black men ages 18 to 44, he was up 81 points in November of 2012. Hillary was up 63 when she went against you.
Yeah.
Biden was up 53. Kamala, who is apparently black, she's up 41.
What do you mean by apparently?
I mean, that's what they're telling us. We're supposed to believe she's black.
No, it's much better than no. See, I would never say anything like that. But you say, don't explain what you mean. No, I don't want to put you in trouble.
Yeah,
I was going to throw it onto your shoulders. Apparently, well, no, you could explain it because I'm
very comfortable explaining it because overnight, she's doing a show. She's supposed to be Indian, and then all of a sudden now it's black, but it's not landing with the average American. So if you look,
do you think black men? That's why she's not doing well.
Watch this.
Some people say that.
In 2016, you had 13%
right.
of male black voters, 18 to 44.
Right.
In 2020, you had 18%. In 2024, you're at 26%. It's doubled in 8 years. The question I'm asking you is the following. Back in 1960, 64% of African Americans would vote Democrat.
Right.
The other was pretty much conservative. African Americans have historically been very conservative.
Okay.
Barry Goldwater, the issue happens, 1964.
Right.
It goes from 64% Democrat to 92%. And it's been between 85 to 92% since 1964, right? You've come in and you've shaken things up. Do you think 2024 is going to be one of those moments where African American men, they're like, listen, I'm sick and tired of Democrats feeling like they own me. I think I'm going to go to the other side. Do you think 2024 could be one of those years that we look back and say they lost the African American vote?
They really lost it for a while, the Republicans. I mean, it started, I guess, with Barry Goldwater, if you look at the charts. But I did criminal justice reform. That's a big thing. They've been trying to get it. I saw a guy named Van Jones. He's I don't think anybody knows who he is. He's a commentator for CNN. And he came to see me in the White House, and he was crying.
I remember that.
He was crying because I bring these things up because it's a lack of, I don't know, there's something about loyalty. You help somebody with something. He came in with a fairly large group of people, mostly black people. And he was devastated because criminal justice reform wasn't going to happen. Obama didn't do it and didn't even come close. Bush didn't try. Nobody was going to do it. And I'm the only one that could have done it. And he was with a group of people they were begging to do it. They were 5 votes short, and they had to be conservative votes because there was nobody else left, right? And I guess you needed the 61 or 60 something, maybe 66, but 61 is a hard vote. And he made a plea to me, Van Jones, total sleazebag. He made a plea to me to help him and help this group of people. And they explained how for years they've been trying to get it, and they've been unable to get it. And I said, well, let's take a look at it. And I studied it for a little while and spoke to them. And I said, you know what, I'm going to help you. It's going to help the black people in particular. And I'm going to get it for you guys. And I called up 5 very conservative senators. And I'll never forget one of the senators who was in charge of it. He was literally leading the charge against it. And I mean, his whole career was this. He was going to stop criminal justice reform. Not because he was, anti-black, just he didn't like it. He didn't want it. And he was in the papers every day. He's fighting it, winning very easily. And I helped him get elected. Without me, he wouldn't have gotten elected. I'll never forget it. I called him up. Now, he's in the heat of passion. He is fighting this all the way. Not something he would ever give up. You couldn't, there's some things you can't. I call him up. He gets on the phone. I didn't say a word. I said, hello. And he goes, I'm giving it to you. I said, what are you giving me?
I mean, I don't know. This is probably, exaggeration on Trump's part. Let's be honest. I mean, I didn't say a word. You said hello, so that's a word. But this probably scenario here is probably some exaggeration. Trump likes to exaggerate.
I'm giving you criminal justice reform. That's why you're calling, right? I said, it is why I'm calling. He said, you got me elected. I disagree with you. but I'm giving it to you just like that. I said, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard, because I also have the opposite where I got a lot of people elected. You know, when I endorse somebody in history, and I don't want to brag, but in history, you can get another chart on that one. I mean, I'm like 289 and almost nothing for endorsements. And he said, you got me elected. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you. And I did, but I got a lot of people elected and some of them forget. And I said, that's the coolest thing. I said, thank you. I said, do you mind if I call a couple of the, nope, you do whatever you want. Now, this is a guy who was the leader.
And also, didn't Trump like pardon a bunch of like rappers and stuff like that too? Like he did a lot for the black community.
Of the fight. I didn't even, he knew what I was calling for, because he knew that I was going to help Van Jones, this Van Jones guy. I was going to help him. And you'll understand why I'm being nasty to him now, because what happened later is disgraceful. So I said, thank you very much, Senator. I'm so happy that I did help you. I think loyalty is a great thing. And that was the end. So I had his vote. I then called 4 other guys, all of whom were against it. And I said, I'd love to have, and they, they don't do it for a lot of presidents, but they do it for me. And I got them 5 votes that they needed, and criminal justice reform passed. Right. Then, and I was happy for them. I was happy for everybody. Everybody was happy. They couldn't believe they got it done. And it was something that really, the black population wanted far more than anybody else. I've never even heard it mentioned with other people. It was mostly the black population. And they've been fighting it for like, what, you'd say 40, 50 years, right?
64.
So
yeah, 40, 50 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I got it done. I got something done. I got a lot of things done that nobody else could have gotten done. So what happens is Van Jones and all, they called for a news conference that night. The vote was taken. They got it done. And I said to my wife, come on over here. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Watch this. This gentleman was in my office a number of weeks ago, and he needed votes, and I got it done. It'll be nice to watch somebody really say something nice about your husband. I said that to Melania. And I said, watch this. And they got up and they spoke. But Van Jones got up, and it was a little, I don't get too embarrassed. He got up, he thanked this one, he thanked that one, he thanked this one, that one, that one. The only one he didn't thank was Donald Trump. And I look at that sleaze bag now, and I say, he's got bad way. I looked at him. Then I saw him last night, and he was on CNN, which is dying, by the way, in the ratings, because they have people like him on. And I watched him last night say how he hopes I'll be defeated. And we should defeat him. We have to fight him. He should be allowed to be. And I said, normally I'd say I wish I had that vote back, but I did the right thing. But
why do I think he praised you? Why do I think he got emotional crying?
No,
giving you credit about what you did.
I don't know. All I can tell you is he was crying in my office. That's probably what you heard. Before he got it, he was crying. He was literally, they went over to him with handkerchiefs. He was crying. Tears were pouring down his eyes before, but after he wasn't crying, not that I know. But so he didn't mention me the night of the news conference. He was leading the news conference, and I don't need it. I get mentioned plenty of times, et cetera, et cetera. But I watched last night. It's a good place to say this, actually. It's better than writing out a truth, whatever. But I watched last night, and I watched him talk about how I must be defeated. I'm a bad guy or something. And
Van Jones is saying this.
Yeah. He said it last night. I saw him last night. I don't watch CNN. Honestly, I don't watch it, but I happen to be, I'm passing it, and I see him on, and I watched him talking about, essentially negative about me. What difference does it make? Nobody cares what they do. They have, they've been fighting me for years, and, I became president. I did much better the second time than I did the first, and now I'm doing it the third time. And if the election's not rigged, we're going to win. If it is rigged, I guess that's a different story, but we'll find out pretty soon. But I watched this guy last night against me, even if he was a little against me. But he wasn't. He was like, we have to defeat Trump. We have to defeat him. And I've watched him a little bit over the years. And every time I watch him, I say, what a sleazebag he is, what a bad guy. But I did it for black people. I did it for, it was purely the only people that told me about criminal justice reform were African-Americans. That's all. And I did it for them. I also did historically black colleges and universities. And I got them financing. I would see.
And to be fair, I think most presidents do that. They give funding to black colleges and financing. So it's nothing really unique to Donald Trump. To be fair.
The heads of colleges come down after 2 years. They would come to Washington, like 45, 50 people, a group. They'd always come in a big group. And I got to know them a little bit because they had to come through my office to get funding. And after the second time, I said to him, why do you keep coming down here for funding? Don't they give you? He said, no, they make us feel like beggars. That was the term. And a couple of them I got really frustrated. Some of them I still see a little bit. And I said, what does that mean? He said, every year we come down for funding for the black colleges and universities. And they play a great role, a very important role, in my opinion. So I said, so you mean every year you come down? We do. We come down together, and we go and see senators and congressmen, and we try seeing a president. But I got to know him, and I said, this is no way to live where you come down. And I ended up getting them more money than they even wanted. And I got it done, and I got it long term. And I said, fellas, I just got this done for you. And I want to tell you a little secret. I'm unhappy about it. They said, why? I said, because I'll probably never see you again. You'll never come down to Washington to see me. And I meant that actually in a friendly way, because I got used to seeing them. They were always coming down looking for money. I took care of their needs long term, more money than they wanted. I said, you're going to need more money than that. And I got it for them. And I think that's why black men really like me. And I think black women do too. But they have a woman who's black, although you would say she's Indian, but she is black. But she really, a lot of people didn't know, which is true. But
I learned about it just a couple months ago. Maybe, the fact
that she's black
yeah.
or that she's Indian.
The fact that she's black. I thought she was Indian until a couple months ago. Things changed.
A lot of people.
Because if you follow baseball, Sammy Sosa kind of, you sometimes have to respect people. They change, right? So I thought maybe she was doing Sammy Sosa the other way.
Yeah, Sammy changed.
Right.
People changed.
If you remember Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, oh, he could hit the ball.
He could hit the ball 66 home runs.
Seriously, he was.
But I want to show you this. And by the way, the only reason I want to show you this is because I think Van Jones is scared of giving you credit. This is what Van Jones said after what you did. And it was the most uncomfortable moment on CNN because he had to thank you. If you can play this clip, Rob, I think this is the clip. Go for it.
Do you think this is? By the way, one of your partners in working on this was Jared Kushner.
This is how many years ago? This is
the date on this 5 years ago, December 18, 2018.
Okay,
so you just got that. That's pretty cool.
So this is 6 years ago. If you can play this clip.
Father went to prison and who fought on this. This is history. This is history. Right now, you're witnessing history on the floor of the U.S. Senate. There's a Christmas miracle underway where, for the first time in a generation, Republicans and Democrats are arm in arm tonight saying, we are sending too many people to prison. They're coming out bitter and not better. We want to make a tremendous difference. I want to say Hakeem Jeffries on the left, Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump on the right have brought together a coalition like I've never seen.
He gave you credit.
Literally, the National Association of Manufacturers, Fox News, and Sean
I'm glad you've seen it because to me, you see, when I think about him, obviously, his history. He was close to Obama, communist, all that stuff. You have to kind of drop. But at the same time, they don't want him saying something like this. I want to give Hakeem Jeffries, Jared, and you to give that credit. This is the part where even Dems are sitting there saying, how the hell do we argue against the fact that a Republican president that we're not supposed to like?
So now I'm a little confused. So I thought Trump said that he didn't give him credit. Now it looks like he's giving him credit. Maybe he's talking about like the particular something else entirely different, like maybe the day of or something like that. He didn't get credit. But it looks like Van Jones did end up giving credit.
Did this cut him off? Just give him 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Let's go to the next topic to bash him again. But it was kind of great to see Van Jones saying this about you.
It was, but again, right after that, it was over.
He has to go back.
So
he
went back. And a real man would not have done that. And I'm glad I saw that. But it really doesn't mean anything because he said it, and then after that, he took it back.
I want to show you something, and this kind of goes maybe to the next.
Maybe it was he gave Trump credit, and then the next segment or the next time he talked about it, he took it back. Maybe that's what Trump's talking about. All right, so now they're going to talk about CNN. Don't care about CNN. Let's see what he has to say about Newsom.
Really, why wouldn't they want to have a strong border? I don't understand them because usually, like in business, you'll understand why somebody wants something. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they want to have a strong border? Why do they want to have men playing in women's sports? I watched the Olympics and 2 people transitioned into womanhood. Mm-hmm. 2 people. They went from man to woman, and they were into boxing, and they beat the hell out of everyone. They won the gold medal. Weightlifting records that held for 18 years, a quarter of an ounce on each side. You've seen me do it probably because it's so cool. I mean, weightlifting is so easy to, it's so descriptive, right? How can you be better than that? Like golf is a little bit harder because you have to sink putts. That's different. Women can putt, but they can't lift, 450 pounds over their head. And the weightlifting record that stood for 18, 19 years gets broken by 100 pounds. They put like a little, they take this top of this pen. See that pen? That thing weighs like an eighth of an ounce. And they put one over here and one over, they couldn't do it for 18 years. So the guy comes along. It's crazy.
I mean, the border could make sense though. If you want to say why would they want the border to be?
Why do they want an open border
to be made there?
Well, why do they want an open border with no check-in? In other words, there's nobody vetted, nobody checked. And as you heard 2 weeks ago, the Border Patrol put out the numbers. They weren't supposed to, but they did because they had to inherently. They endorsed me.
I saw that.
They endorsed me 100% unanimous, like they said he's the greatest in the history of. I had the best border in the history of the country. I had the best economy in the history of the country. But you take a look at some of these stats. So yesterday, a young woman's playing volleyball. You saw that shot, and he got hit by a hard shot by a man who transitioned.
There's been many of those. If there was a new one yesterday.
She got hit in the head. She didn't know where she was.
Right.
She said, I've never seen a ball travel at that speed before. But here's why do they want that? I don't understand that. Usually you understand, like somebody wants something. Mm-hmm. You try and figure it out. And you could go through a lot of things. Why do they want transgender? Why do they want to take somebody's child, a boy, and make the boy into
Okay. I'm not really interested
you wouldn't have one
in the whole
automaker
transgender stuff. Let's try Mexico cars.
company in Mexico. China's building them, and they're going to make cars, sell them across the border, and destroy every automobile manufacturer, even in South Carolina and other places, Tennessee. They're going to destroy. You wouldn't have one automaking company. And what did I do? I said 2 months ago, and if they do that, I will put a 100 or 200 or 2,000% tariff on these cars, and they will never enter America. And that was it. And I said that 4 or 5 times during 4 or 5 speeches. And I met the man that's building the plants 2 days ago when I was in Detroit at the Economic Club of Detroit, making a speech talking about how we're going to bring our car industry back, which is easy to do. All you have to do is the proper incentives. And I mean, keeping Elon would have been easy to do, frankly, but nobody ever went to
I want to push back on this. I'm curious to know what you say with this. So we thought about you. Everybody said, Pat, let's make sure we get one autograph hat of Future Looks Bright with the president's signature on it and allow people to compete for this. So when I think about, by the way, Tim Cook, Steve Jobs dies. Apple's worth 100 billion. Today's worth 3 trillion. He 30x. So kind of credibility on what he did. He's
I
a
just
very
don't
good
think
operator.
Steve Jobs would have been as good.
It's an interesting point you're making. It's a good point to debate. But I want to go to the China, Mexico. So for the first time in a long time, actual labor is cheaper in Mexico than it is in China. Mexico is now $390 an hour all in. China's $450, right? And when I think about this phone that Tim Cook, Steve Jobs, they built, this phone, if I buy it made in China, costs $1,100. Okay, if I buy it, they try to do a quarter in India, backfired. They don't have the infrastructure yet, so he kind of wanted to find out what to do next. If I buy this in the U.S. and it's made in the U.S., it's $2,400, right? So there's a part of it with Nixon where I think Nixon got it right. And years ago, you and Nixon had a relationship. He even said, whenever you run, you're going to be a president. He said this many, many years ago.
He did say it.
Nixon
His wife
was
said
for,
His wife said
it. When Pat, you're saying,
she said, I watched somebody on the Phil Donahue show. She said, I watched a man on television, a young man on television. I have the letter. It's the most beautiful letter. He said, my wife just told me you'll be president, because I knew him a little bit. And I said, that's interesting. I'll have to think about that. But it was very nice, actually. But no, she said it. But go ahead, please.
So that's when you think about the first time we sold a Toyota in the States was 58. In 72, under Nixon, Toyota sold 1 million cars here. And that kind of forced Americans to be like, hey, we got to find a way to lower the price point. So we need a little bit of competition when it comes down to the tariff side, right? We do too much, price may go up. Because if we do make this in America and cash flow income is not going up, middle Americans may be like, I can't afford to do this. Yes, we'd love to have it made in America, but a regular person making $55,000, you can afford it. So how do you balance and manage tariffs so the average person is not affected by it? Please.
But before I do that, so let me just say already tariffs, because to me, I think it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary. More beautiful than love, more beautiful than any word I know, tariff. It will make our country extremely wealthy again, because right now we're poor, we're broke. It'll make our country wealthy again. And it's the most powerful word there is. Okay, so just by the mere mention of the fact that I am going to put 100 to 200% tariffs on every car coming out of that factory that you just put, that car plant that's being built, actually started and stopped. The fact that I mentioned it, I said to the man the other day, because I told him, this started, I want to see a great car plant. He's the best in the world at building, the biggest. And he said, I'll have to take you to Mexico. I said, you got to be kidding. I want to see in the United States. He said, we don't build them in the United States. We build them in Mexico and China and all over, but not. That's because we're stupid. Okay. And yet we sell them. All that product would be sold in the United States. So I said, are you building it now? Yes, we're just starting. This was a year ago, let's say. And it's the biggest in the world. I think he said 2 of them actually, but the biggest in the world. Anyway, I hadn't seen him. He's a great guy. All he does is plants. If you said build an apartment, he wouldn't know how to build it. I mean, all he does tremendous new big plants.
Pretty much a
I saw him
non-answer.
the other day when I made a speech at the Detroit really economic summit. It was great on cars. And I see him in the audience and I see him afterwards and I say, could I ask you, how is the big plants coming? Oh, they stopped construction. I said, really? They did? Why? Tell me why. Because they think you're going to be elected. And if you get elected, you're going to put 100% tariff or 200. You even said 200.
Oh, okay.
They said, if Trump gets elected, we're not going to spend billions of dollars building plants in Mexico. I saved Detroit, what's left of it. Don't forget, Detroit can make a great renaissance with me, with her. She doesn't even know what you and I are talking about stuff right now. She would have no idea what.
Look, the honest fact is tariffs is always going to affect, the consumer. But the idea is it's going to outweigh how much it's going to affect you by how much competition it's going to drive and create. That's the idea of tariffs. So, what he's talking about is like, hey, just a mere mention of him, people think I'm going to win. We're going to put tariffs. We're not going to build this plant. And, now, because they don't want to import, they don't want to have to spend an extra, pay an extra, what is it? Like 100 to 200% increase in taxes to import it. So, gives us the opportunity to build ourselves, and maybe we'll do a little, be able to manage it. That's all,
We're talking about. You get it really good. You get it better than almost anybody. Even when I spoke at Bloomberg the other day, he wasn't a tariff guy. I said, well, you got to be a tariff guy because if tariffs don't work, our country's broke.
100% you need to use
But just think of it. The fact that I said I'm going to put tariffs on all of those cars that are coming out of that plant, that's a big plant. This is maybe one of the biggest in the world, right? Now, those cars are going to come all into the United States. If they come into the United States, that means there's not going to be any room. That makes more than Detroit makes, okay, than everybody. So that would mean that our car industry is wiped out. I hope that the union workers, the auto workers, understand that I saved their jobs. Because in a year and a half, when that thing opened, you wouldn't have one car being made in the Midwest or anyplace else in this country. So because of Donald Trump, and he said that, he said, because of you, construction has totally stopped. They're absolutely, they gave up on the job. Now, if I didn't get elected, they'll be building that sucker. The only thing
for me is that I would be curious to know how the administration is going to take it. Is you have to impose tariffs on a country that's bullying. For example, I love what you did with Iran when you put the sanctions. I'm in Monaco, June 26th of 2019. It's my 10-year anniversary. We're there with my wife. We're laying by Carlton Hotel. I think it's in Kansas, having the award-winning lobster roll, whatever they claim there. And I meet this guy, Middle Eastern guy. He comes in. He says, "Hey, Patrick, how are you?" We start talking. I said, "What do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm a pretty powerful guy." I said, "Really?" "Yeah." He says, "Here, Google me." So I go on. I'm like, "Oh, interesting." I said, "I'm curious. So you manage what?" He says, 21 countries in the Middle East. I'm the one that says who gets to do business banking with Iran and none. I said, what did Trump sanctions on Iran do? He says, let's go in the middle of the ocean and talk. And you have to set your phone aside. I'll never forget this. So we go in the middle of the ocean, standing out there having a conversation. Wives are talking. We're over there. He says, everybody, if you can pull up, that's the one. Is that what it is? Here's the economic growth in Iran. If you look at that, 15, 16 nuclear deal implemented, sanctions lifted. Then it's 18, 19. They're being decimated. I mean, these guys are getting destroyed.
They wanted to make a deal.
They wanted to make a deal. Then
they had to
come
make a deal.
in, and then Biden comes in. Obviously, things change right afterwards. So for this time around with Iran, with everything that's going on with sanctions, there is a method to the madness. Remember back in the days,
can you send me that chart? Look at that.
This?
They wanted to make a deal. I'm not looking to hurt Iran. They wanted to make a deal because I told China, if you buy 1 barrel of oil, you're not ever doing business in the United States again. They said, we'll pass to Iran. They passed. Nobody was buying.
Are you going to bring this back, the strategy back with Iran?
Different strategies. It all depends. Very fertile mind, different strategies. But they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. You have to understand, I didn't want much. All I wanted is you can never have a nuclear weapon. I didn't want much. I wanted Iran to be very successful. I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Because that's the real threat. The real threat isn't global warming. The real threat is nuclear warming. Okay? That's the real warming. Because, I'm the one that rebuilt our military. I rebuilt the whole military. And part of what I rebuilt is the nuclear. And I hated to do it, but we had to because China has it, Russia has it, et cetera. But I know more about nuclear than anybody because, and I can just only tell you this, the power is obliteration, okay? It's not, I always say it's not 2 army tanks running around.
What's going to happen to Iran with you by the end of your administration?
I would like to see Iran be very successful. The only thing is they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Are you okay with the same administration and way of governing stays? Or would you like to see it go back to the 70s when Shah was running it and Iran was one of the top 3 countries in tourism?
Yeah, we can't get totally involved in all that. We can't run ourselves. Let's face it.
Sure.
Patrick, we can't run ourselves.
The sanctions, that's gonna, they don't have the people are going to turn and flip on them. It's not going to be I think if you would
when I handed it over, I told them, right now, make a deal with Iran, they'll do anything. They wanted to make a deal with me. Had that election not been rigged and stolen, I will tell you right now, we would have no problems anywhere in the world. Viktor Orban, is a very tough guy and a very smart guy. And he's, some of the European countries don't like him because he's,
sure,
smart.
Makes sense.
And they do things that aren't so smart. But he said, they said, what's happening? The whole world is blowing up now. The Middle East, Russia, Ukraine. I mean, now all of a sudden, it's getting really bad over there. I'll tell you, the Russia, Ukraine, getting really bad. You could have World War III. And we have 2 people, her and him. And she's not as smart as Biden. Biden, believe it or not, and this is a very small group of people fit into this category. He's smarter than she is. Okay? You have a problem. And even the 3 or 4 months left, that's a lot of months. That's a lot of time left. You could have World War III before I would take office, even if I would.
So let me ask you this.
This country the world is in grave danger. But you know what Victor Orban said?
Don't forget,
he said,
was
if
it
Trump comes back
3
in,
days after Kamala
everything's
went to
solved.
Ukraine?
He said when he ran, we had no wars, we had no problems.
Russia invaded.
Now, he used the term they were afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term because it's like, but they were afraid of me. They didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And that included Russia. Don't forget, they always said, oh, I'm so close to Putin. I had a good relationship with Putin. I had a good relationship with President Xi. But what did I do to Putin? I ended the pipeline going to Germany and all over Europe. The biggest job they've ever had is the pipeline going all over Europe. I terminated it. Think of it. Do you think that's a good relationship? No. Putin said, I'd hate to see you if you were angry at us. You understand? But what did I do? First, earlier, and then you go, well, Trump was in the pocket of Russia. Trump was in the pocket. I ended the biggest job they've ever done, a job that made more money. Biden comes in, and what does he do? He approves it. He lets it go forward. It was dead. It was never going to happen. And what else did he do? He took the Keystone pipeline, which was our pipeline, which should have been approved, and he terminated it just before construction was started.
They've lost credibility at this point. But with Iran, so here's one thing. The reason why I'm asking this, I lived in Iran almost 11 years, and I was,
Are you Iranian?
I was Armenian, mother side, Assyrian, father side. You gave a shout out to Assyrians the other day in Arizona. It was great seeing Assyrians for Trump. But I'm asking,
why they were there? They were so nice. I met. They said the Assyrians. They said, could you give us a shout out? I said, who are you? I didn't know. They said, we're Assyrians. I said, what does that mean? But they were really nice people. And I said, I think I mispronounced it. Yeah, but I said,
you did. You got to write this down. But going back to Iran. So last topic on this, I just want to clear this up. So Qasem Soleimani, you take him out. That's their hero. That's their general pattern. When you take him out, they want to seek vengeance. So now, hey, they're targeting you. They're coming after your assassination attempts, all this stuff. They create these videos that they're going to come. We haven't forgotten that you took our hero out. Great. So Reagan, when Reagan got elected, remember they released, was it 59 prisoners, who had been held hostage for 444 days, if I'm getting the numbers right. Can you see 59, 444 days? What's the number?
52 Americans, 444
days. Boom. The minute inauguration, they released them. Khomeini, right? It's like, oh, this guy's going to do something about it. This is my question for you. Say you win November 5th. Say it's a landslide. Say it's done, okay? From November 5th to you're going back to putting your hand in inauguration on the stage. During that time, that season, what do you think is going to happen during that season? Is during that season Russia, Ukraine going to be done? During that season, you think it's going to be that quickly? Or do you think it's going to be after?
I think the world's going to behave, and I think I will settle Russia, Ukraine while I'm president-elect.
While you're president-elect?
While I'm president-elect.
Wow.
Okay. Here's how he's going to settle it, all right? There's 2 ways it's going to happen. One, he's going to say, Putin, you get, the territories you conquered, that's all you get, all right? Can't go any further than that. Or 2, okay, The areas you took, they get a vote, and if they decide they want to go with you, they can go with you. They want to they stay with Ukraine, they go with Ukraine. If they want to be independent, they independent. That's probably how it's gonna go, really. But Ukraine's, unless they vote for it, unless that area votes for it, they're not. Ukraine's not getting it back. That's how it's gonna end. That's how the Ukraine and Russia war is gonna end. It's the only way it's gonna end. All right, Russia's gonna either keep the land or be convinced to allow a vote to happen, whether they stay with Russia or be independent or even go back to Ukraine. That's how the Ukraine Russia war is going to end. When it comes to Israel and Palestine and that war, odds are he's going to say, Trump's going to go to Netanyahu and says like, "Hey, Gaza, that's all you get. If you go any further, I'm not supporting you." That's probably how it's going to go and how it's going to end for those two wars. I guarantee you.
You need that credibility. So while I'm president-elect,
that's my prediction.
I will settle it. I met with Zelensky the other day. I have a good relationship with Putin and with Zelensky.
You didn't look too happy standing next to you, though.
Well, look, this is a war that should have never happened. You have millions of people that are dead, much more than you're reading about. When you see these, I was amazed at how big. I'm in the real estate business, to put it mildly.
Sure.
So I know buildings. Those buildings were massive. They were long rather than tall. They were 12 to 15 stories, but they went like for blocks. They were massive buildings. Rockets were hitting the buildings. They were collapsing. A lot of people were killed. You hear 2 people were injured. No. Many people were killed. That war is much more deadly than they're telling you. It has to be settled. But here's the problem. It should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. Putin would have never done it. The war would have never happened.
You're saying,
without even a settlement. Well,
you're saying after November 5th, as a president-elect, you're saying things are going to get done during that time?
I'd like to be able
How about Iran and Israel? What about that one?
Well, that depends. A lot's happening right now. We're going to have to see what happens.
Okay.
That one is a very interesting one. And it's become more interesting because Israel didn't listen to Biden and her and did what they wanted to do. And they put themselves in a pretty strong position. I mean, let's face it. Who would have thought this was going to happen? Everybody was very afraid of Iran. They're less afraid of Iran now. What they did to Hezbollah and Hamas, if you take a look at
that's not a law. They took everybody out. I mean, the pagers there.
The whole thing with the pagers.
Right.
It was from the pagers that.
Dude, that pager thing with what Israel did with or Mossad did with the pagers, dude, that was brilliant. All right, you can not like Israel, you can think Israel's terrible, whatever. You gotta admit that was brilliant. That was brilliant. You gotta give props to that tactics.
Because those were your leaders. I mean, those were the leaders. It was
That's
like 2,000 or 3,000.
And the guy that replaced him, they took him out as well. I mean, that was because nobody wants that job. And I was like, hey, would you like this job? I'll pass. I don't want the job. Right.
So it's a different, it's a different story. But only because Bibi did not listen to Biden. Biden wanted everything to just sort of foment. They wouldn't listen to him.
You think Bibi
which tells you?
And I just saw on Twitter, apparently Trump said that he talked to Bibi, as he calls him. And he's saying that he's not listening to Biden. That's what he's saying. And now, of course, people are shouting for the Logan Act and all that shit.
Do what?
Do you think Bibi will listen to you?
Yeah. Oh, he'll listen to me 100%.
100%.
100%. Don't forget, I got them more than, and not because this isn't the reason, but I got them Golan Heights.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to get it for as long as they were around. I got them Golan Heights. Planes would fly in every year to try and figure it out. I got them Golan Heights. But more importantly than that, I ended the Iran nuclear deal, which was Bibi fought like hell to have it. Remember that? Fought like hell. Came in to see Obama, fought. And I also got him, very important, I helped them with the military, everything else, but I got him Jerusalem, capital. I got him Jerusalem. Not only did I get it for him, I built the embassy. I didn't just say that, I got it built. And I built it for peanuts too. I didn't spend $2 billion. I built it for.
I love what you said the other day when you were doing the new Air Force One from $5.3 billion to $3.7 billion. Hey, who would have paid? They would have paid for that. It's great to have a negotiate.
Does that mean you made $1.7 billion,
which is insane? You're sitting there like, yeah, Obama, they just cut the check. And I'm like, what are you talking about? An operator would never do that. I have a few minutes. I want to hit a few questions with you. So you get in. When you work for a new company, you get a job, you go to HR. And then when you work for a company that's a big company, let's just say they got 100,000 employees. Let's say you're working for an IBM. Let's say you're working for Boeing. Hundreds of thousands of employees. You're going to kind of find out who the manipulators are. You're going to find out who the power players are. You're going to find out who the E.F. Hutton is. You're going to find out who the guy that get the job done, the guy that even though you replace him, he left. People are still talking to the guy because maybe they want you to fail. So they're still, all this stuff that happens. Right?
100%.
When you went in, day one, you're a president. How did you decipher between knowing who were really the power players, who were the manipulators, who were the ones that would threaten behind closed doors? How did you go through that process when you first got in?
So my problem was I was in Washington. They say, the fake news said this, but let's assume it's true for a change. 17 times. I was there 17 times. I never stayed over. So I was not a Washington person. I didn't know people in Washington.
When you became president?
When I became president. Right. In other words, I ran for president. I was only in Washington 17 times. And most of it was I was building a hotel, a beautiful hotel that I sold. It's now the Waldorf Astoria. And I did a great job, sold it, made some money. And it was great. But that was most of the time. I was only there. Think of it.
Beautiful.
I was only there. That's it. Right. And That's a beautiful job in a great location. That, oh, maybe I shouldn't have sold it.
You are funny.
No, I'm looking at it. I'm saying, huh.
All right. That's not really that interesting. So there you go. That was the 2 interviews. There's a big difference between the two. Trump answered questions. He kind of deflected on some, but sometimes he answered a good portion of them. And what's interesting is he didn't really ram about Kamala that much. Kamala is evil. Kamala is evil. Kamala is evil. Kamala is evil. He didn't do that. While all Kamala did was basically that: Trump's evil. Trump's evil. Trump's evil. Trump's evil. So, but who knows? Who knows what's going to win? We got what? Oh, how many days? We got what? 3 weeks left until the election. Yeah, 3 weeks left till the election. So that who are you gonna vote for? You gonna vote for Trump? You gonna vote for the worst choice of all times? Let's be honest. She's a terrible choice. Why would you vote for her? Oh man. But there we go. You had 2 interviews here. We can see the vast difference. Now, to be fair to Kamala, that was we watched a hostile or not hostile, but an adversarial interview with Kamala, and then we watched a more comfortable interview with Trump. So that's it's a big difference between two ally Trump and then an adversarial. But Trump's done far more adversarial. He's done fine in most of them. Probably all of them. Kamala could barely handle one. Since the Fox News, I don't think she's done a single interview that was adversarial. So we'll see. I showed you some of the polls. Kamala's not doing well, but again, regardless of what you think, no matter how low the polls get, just always think it's reverse. Trump's the one who's behind. Let's go and do what we can for him. If you're in a blue state, you're kind of fucked. Let's be honest. But if you're in a swing state, do what you can to get out and vote and encourage others to vote and get Trump that win in the swing states. If we get enough, then no matter what they do, okay, election day, then it won't matter. That's the important thing. So go out to vote, encourage people to vote for Trump. He's by far the best choice for president. We've seen what we're going to deal with a Kamala Harris presidency versus a Trump presidency. Okay, Harris, she's saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be a Biden." What distinguishes her from that label? Okay, all we see really from her is Biden 2.0. Biden 2.0, but claims not Biden 2.0. That's what we got. So, and with Trump, remember, no wars, gas was lower, groceries were lower, more money in your pocket. All this type of shit. The economy was better. And with Harris, odds are, if Harris is elected, odds are we're going to World War III. Let's be honest. Okay, she can't negotiate. She was it Ukraine, and then like 3 or so days later, Russia invaded Ukraine. Obviously, that's like it'd be one thing if it was like a week or so after she visited, then you can be like, all right, but like 3 days or something like that, it's not a good look for her. But we got 2 new wars going on under the Biden Harris administration. But according to Harris, it is the Biden Harris administration, because she says I was part of all these decisions. I had a real say, which is bad for her because Biden's not doing well, and a lot of people agree that we don't want another year of Biden. So we'll see. I don't think he's going to win. I really do want him to win, but I don't think they're going to let him. I don't think they're going to let him win. And it is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, give me a follow. Hopefully I'll be here again Sunday, this coming up Sunday. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. Peace out. And vote for Trump. See you later.